Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports.
When it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. Don't let anybody tell you that it's been a bad year in Aggie sports, my friend. We got ourselves a national champion.
Yeah, fast guys.
How about Pat Henry again?
What is that, like 50 national championships
Dude,
that that guy's won?
He's got a national championship for every day of the month. That's what it feels like. He's the best.
He really has had an amazing career. And
He's going to keep on going, buddy.
yeah, and to go on and just win another national championship.
So the men, many of you probably already saw this, won the national championship, sharing it with USC. The women finished third, so a fantastic year for the entire program. It came down to the final event. They needed a miracle, all right? They were down, and they had a chance. And then clutch relay performance ended up getting, second place there, while USC, who they shared the national championship with, could have won it outright, but they finished 8th. They collapsed. So they both finished with 41 points, making it the first national championship for the men since 2013.
Yeah, hey, celebrate them. I know there was a big celebration planned. National championships should be celebrated, not just those in football and basketball and the high-profile sports. So this back-to-back years, A&M has produced a national champion.
Yep, it's
Women's tennis last year and men's track and field this year.
If I were to have, this is not even a complaint. This is just I just wish these national championships could happen while the student body was in
That's
town.
true.
Right? It's still great, and I hope people are celebrating wherever they are, and I hope there's a great turnout later today when the team arrives. I know TexAgs will be all over it. But on a year that we felt like, disappointing finish all these seasons, got a little bit of a miracle finish there.
The miracle, I guess, was that USC didn't place.
Well, and then you had to have a great finish, too.
But hadn't that relay team been consistently among the best in the nation all year?
Yeah.
In fact, I'm kind of surprised they didn't win it.
Yep. They're the ones now talking about the disappointing finish, right? Where they still share a national championship.
You lifted a trophy, so that can't be disappointing. But, what I'm saying is I would think that if A&M is in a position to win a national championship going into that final event,
yeah,
I'm like, I'm not surprised unless the surprise is that maybe USC, who I got to admit, I knew they had a lot of people qualified, but I did not know how good or whatever the strength of that relay team.
Luckily, Luke brought it into the conversation on Friday. He's like, look, right now it looks like USC is in pole position to win this thing, and A&M did just enough to get back in it, and USC faltered just enough for the Aggies.
I don't know this, okay, because I know the Aggies had a lot of guys place really high, so I'm assuming that USC actually had just more qualifiers.
Yep.
And that was the difference. But hey, A&M guys came through when they needed to and placed high and national champs.
So Sam Whitmarsh last year, he had
that guy.
Yeah, what a finish for him. He was runner-up last year. This year wins the final 200 kick at 1:45.86. Alexander Solovev, and the pole vaulting set a collegiate leading and school record clearance, 5.78. He upsetted the Kansas competitor.
I need to look and see what that translates into feet so I can, completely grasp it.
Where's Matthew Dawson?
They're jumping over 17 feet.
That seems amazing.
Yeah, it's long. It's a long way up there.
Jaqueline Scott, 400-meter hurdles, bounced back from Wednesday's 110 to run a personal best and school record, 48.29, second place.
See, guys are placing high.
Bryce McCrary, personal best, 49.52. And Ahmad Robinson, even though he finished in 7th place, every point mattered. That helped get secure A&M with the tie. Again, if USC would have done just a tad bit better, they end up winning it. But
What if A&M had done a tad bit better?
tad bit better, which was actually possible. And then, as I mentioned, the women finished 3rd place. A couple things about Pat Henry. All right, national championships at A&M and LSU. Right?
Give him championships or give him death. Patrick Henry. Yeah.
We talked, this is a quote from this weekend. We talked about it as a group. We knew what we had to do. The group knew we had to try to win this thing, and this guy and USC was going to win it. And he says his athletes consistently perform their best when everything is on the line. That was the case.
That was definitely the case.
73 years old, just winning national championship after national championship. He's got 37 national championships.
37. Does that count those at blend?
I didn't go find that, but I assume.
I mean, he may have even more than that if that doesn't count blend, but it probably does. But
probably does.
What an amazing career. If there's ever, I couldn't tell you where the Track and Field Hall of Fame is, but I'm sure Patrick Henry's there. You know,
and
Pat Henry. Well,
yeah.
I assume his name is Patrick.
Well, we hope to catch up with him later on today, and we'll post that on TexAgs.com, and we'll obviously have him in studio and try to get some of these track athletes here in studio as well to talk about the amazing finish. But super excited for them.
Yeah, and you should. And by the way, you know that doesn't hurt in football recruiting. By the way, good track program very enhances football recruiting.
Yeah. How was your Father's Day, buddy?
It was good. You know, I was at breakfast, get a call about 10, which is 8 a.m. in Phoenix.
Right.
And you know, and my son says, "Hey," the conversation goes like this: "Hey, happy Father's Day." Gosh, I'm surprised you're up. You know, with LSU winning the night before and all that. And he said, "Yeah, we're up pretty late celebrating. So happy Father's Day. Can I go back to sleep now?" I said, "Yeah." So that was my happy Father's Day. He called back later, and it was a good.
So was
Father's
he still
Day.
awake,
No,
or he purposely woke up?
I think he set the alarm, called, and said, "Okay, I got that out of the way." He went back to sleep because I'm sure he probably had a headache. And but anytime you hear from, like again later he called, even FaceTime.
Yeah.
We went out the wife and I went out to breakfast. We went out to dinner. She bought me some really nice gifts. So it was a great day.
Yeah. It was a little bittersweet for us because Isla and Elizabeth were out of town for a soccer tournament. So it was just me and the three. My brother from Miami came to town, so we got to hang out with my pops on Friday and Saturday. Yesterday, I was hoping to do a pool day.
Yeah.
But the little weather wasn't as cooperative.
Right, that's true.
And then, you know, the whole Karen situation with my son.
How are we getting so big in Bryan College Station that now we have psychopaths driving up and down our streets?
So I'll make this quick, and because I'm sure I'll hear about it later. I've done 2 things this year that I wish that I make fun of people for doing.
Okay.
I have aired my grievances on social media. I don't even use social media, but when I get super angry or something good happens at A&M, I use it, right?
Okay, sure.
So, I don't know, was it 3 months ago, I purchased the bed my parents purchased the bed.
I remember that, and somebody was pulling a fast one.
Yeah, and the company, so I went on social media, and of course they reached out to me and they apologized. Yes, so Cruz and Christian got their driver's license last week, okay? And I will say this about my children. Most teenagers are punks. I think my boys are not punks.
His sons are like the most well-behaved kids I've ever seen.
They are. Look, and I know every dad says that. I think
they really are.
But my daughters, they'll fight you. My sons are very nice. So Cruz went to go pick up Annalise from work yesterday. Okay.
Okay.
My Father's Day was this. I did things that I like to do. OB. I ran. I lifted. Churched. And I power washed the backyard. I was just doing like things, right? And I grilled steaks. That was my day. For me, it was a fantastic day. So I told Cruz, go pick up your sister from work. On the way back, on William D. Fitch, he's in the left lane. Somebody flashed him. He was going too slow. Basically got upset with him. And this lady pulled up next to him, pulled down the window, and cursed him and Annalise out, said, "Are you scared, little girl?" Pulled out a knife, took off her seatbelt, like, "You want me to come out? You want to go?" Unfortunately, Cruz didn't get a picture of the license plate, but we got a picture of Karen. So I posted on my Facebook page. I hope somebody in Bryan College Station finds this maroonish Acadia and lets me know who it is, just to have a conversation. That's it.
Psychopath.
You know, we should probably move on from that. But that was my Father's Day.
Well, again,
I got a specific skill set.
Be proud of the way your son handled it.
He handled it much better than I would have. That's for sure. I said, "Dad, what should I have done?" "You did the exact thing. You just drive off. Never never escalate a situation."
Yeah,
like you and I, we don't escalate. We are relaxed.
That's my whole persona. Relaxed, calm, cool, and collected.
No reason to escalate, right? Just let's live to fight another day.
And he's going to fight another day.
If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us up on the Puppies Catering Hotline. That is 979-693-1150.
Hey, if somebody pulls a knife on your kid, you deserve to fight them. They deserve to be punched. I'll say it. Olin said it.
Hey.
Pull a knife on somebody's kid, especially on Father's Day, they deserve to have the crap beat out of them no matter what.
She's just lucky I wasn't there.
Or Elizabeth.
Or Elizabeth. I don't think they knew it. Huh?
But she's in shape.
I mean, if you think by grabbing the cheeseburger puts you in shape, sure. Anyway, Puppies Catering Hotline.
Irma would hit her with a beer bottle.
No hitting of women. We don't need to. We just need to drive off. That's the best thing to do.
If someone comes at your child with a knife, you have to protect them.
Oh, yeah, they die. They die right there. Anyway, this is TexAgs Live, not murdermystery.com. If you want to be a part, I already told you how to be a part of the conversation. Who are we presented by?
We're David Gardner.
Oh, okay. Just making sure you knew. Yeah. Gem of a guy.
Yeah, he'd never pull a knife on anybody.
No. And where are we? In the
Rollo Insurance Studio.
He probably wouldn't pull a knife either.
No, I probably wouldn't insure them.
Yeah, there you go. Right. And this hour, we call it
the Go Hour.
They would probably sell it a shirt to her at the warehouse at CC Creations, but they'd be angry with her.
Yeah, they would be.
Yeah. And anything else we need to talk? Holistic. Would they do her financial planning? They probably would.
Yeah, because they probably wouldn't know.
Yeah, they wouldn't. They don't ask those kind of questions. They ask about your financial.
I don't know. I say, they probably tell her you need to step into the cool zone and cool off.
Cool off. Luke Evangelist is always cool under pressure.
Wait a minute. Now this none of this fake news.
Yeah, Luke, why did you let your girlfriend do that? Good morning to the show.
I was just about to. You totally stole my bit. I was gonna talk about how my Father's Day was and how I had a great time hanging out. I called my dad, told him how much I love him. We exchanged stories. Also thankful not to be a father yet. I want to be a father one day, but not yet.
You don't claim any of the kids yet, do you?
But I took a nice ride with one of my friends in her new maroon Acadia, and I was going to talk about that experience, but clearly we've already broken that news here on TexAgs Live.
Oh gosh.
We should be talking football, not talking about road rage incidents, but I see dog, I say dog.
That just, like I said, it makes me angry because this is a community. This is my community, and it's really the greatest part of this community is how friendly and nice and cooperative everybody is. And I guess, like I said, we're getting so big that you're going to have an occasional psycho.
It's all right. She's probably passing through.
I hope she just keeps passing.
Luke, anything of substance to provide this morning? Because I want to try to get it back to sports.
Yeah, of course. Well, if you're in the Bryan College Station area and you are not near a maroon Acadia, you should be hitting the roads to go to E.B. Cushing Stadium at noon today to welcome back the track team. They're going to be coming back for the welcome ceremony you mentioned. But just to give a little bit more information, you can park in lot 100M in front of the facility, and it'll begin at noon at the main entrance of the E.B. Cushing Track Stadium.
Excited about what they've done and what they're still going to do. Pat Henry ain't done yet, buddy.
Oh, he's never done.
No.
I never know about, quote, recruiting in track and field. I don't know about recruiting in a lot of things, but I just know that every year it seems like if he's not winning a championship,
he's in the mix.
He's putting in a very competitive team with great athletes, men and women.
Yeah. You know what? Also, I think this is an example of we're in a different world of college athletics where they say a lot of coaches have not evolved. Obviously, they've evolved.
Here's what I would do if I was a coach of some of these sports that had disappointing finishes, I would say I would tap into Pat Henry and pick his brain, because his guys and women typically surge late when the when at the most important times they come through.
He actually talks to me about that, and when we get him this week, it's kind of like that. There's a rhythm to his season, so he wants his athletes, and everybody wants this, but they figured out a formula that works for them to be at your best when the SEC tournament rolls around, and then the NCAA meet. Sorry.
So so you could tap in. Hey, how do you do it? How do you? We've had a little bit of trouble with that. Maybe there's some knowledge that you can pass on that might help us in other sports.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Mr. Nygren, Reese Nygren is in the house. How are you?
How are y'all? I'm
good, man.
So,
you call your dad?
I did not hang out with my dad yesterday. He was out of town.
But you called him?
I did.
Okay.
I did call him. Told him Happy Father's Day.
Good.
All the good stuff.
Good son. Good son.
I know. I didn't forget. That did happen one time. I forgot.
You forgot once?
Yeah, I did forget to text him one year. He was.
How do you take that?
He wasn't happy. Let's just say that.
One year, my Christmas, my Father's Day gift for my son was a piece of paper, and he wrote "Jack Squat" on it.
That's what he actually wrote?
Yeah, he wrote it. He said, "Here's your here's your present, Jack Squat." I think it was awesome, actually.
I'll store that for maybe another year.
What do you have for us?
I have women's track and field times and finishes. So Winnie B in the triple jump was
best name on the team. Well, there's a lot of good names. That's a great name.
Was the national champion in the triple jump with a jump of 45 feet and 9 3/4 inch.
See, I can understand that.
Yeah.
I went with the feet.
Thank you.
Just because
I need it. I'm not very metric.
Yeah, there we go. The 4x100 relay team was finished in third place with a time of 42:89, which was a season best time. Deborah Chirono in the 3,000 meter steeplechase finished fifth with a time of 9 minutes and 32.10 seconds, which was a school record and personal best time. And it was the fifth time that she broke her own school record.
Hey.
Jaya Covington in the 60 meter hurdles is the national champion with a time of 12.93 seconds, her first indoor and individual final. Sophia Yakushina in the heptathlon was third place with 6,058 points. Her long jump was first place with 21 feet 2 3/4 inch, which was a personal best and fourth all time at A&M. Her javelin was ninth with 132 feet 6 inches, and her 800 meter was ninth place with 2 minutes and 14.93 seconds. Jasmine Montgomery in the 200 meters was fifth place with a time of 22:61, and the 4x400 relay team was fourth place with a time of 3 minutes and 27.11 seconds.
Good stuff, Mr. Nygren. Appreciate you very much.
You're welcome.
Obi, I noticed something.
What's that?
When you were correcting me on the SECs and you said meat.
Yes.
Your face smiled because you were thinking the other kind of meat.
Yeah, they ought to have tournaments for meat. They can call it a meat. And you know what? If you want to go meet, then meet me on Thursday through Saturday.
Can you keep going with us?
Probably not. At 1775. That's where the elite meet to eat meat.
And what meat would you eat at the elite meat?
Well, if the meats that I would eat at this meat of elite meat would be the brisket, the succulent brisket. Oh, so Texas smoked brisket.
It's so neat.
Yeah, it is. It's neat to eat there. I would have some of that sausage with jalapeno and cheese.
No pig's feet.
No pig's feet. I'd have to draw them. But I would have pork ribs. So I like the rib of the pig. I don't like his foot.
Right.
And I would have some turkey as well.
Okay.
And, I'd garnish it with a little queso mac and cheese.
Oh, I was going to say, you have to have the queso mac and cheese.
Yeah, if you got to have the cheese and the meat to eat at the meat.
The meat. 1775txbbq.com is the
just
website.
right down the street.
Yeah, it's not far. And 979-492-6241. Go check out 1775 at the meat.
Can't be beat.
I'll meet you there. One of my favorite interviews. I've interviewed Darius Rucker.
He's a big South Carolina fan.
Yeah, he is. I actually interviewed him in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, I like him. I like his music.
Yeah, me too. TexAgs Live, we are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Don't forget to register for the 2025 TexAgs preseason kickoff, available to all premium and varsity subscribers. The registration link is in Billy's Premium Forum. The event's July 26th at the MSC. And a bunch of the coaches from across campus will be there to discuss things of the upcoming year. If you'd like to sponsor a table or donate an auction item, please email sponsors@texags.com. Kick off the 2025 season with us. All right, so this article caught my attention, not to argue with it, just to kind of discuss college football's 25 most dynamic players of the last 25 years. And we can go through it, and yes, Texas A&M will be represented on there.
Yeah, there's a couple of it should be.
Yeah, well, there was a list at one point that didn't have him, if you remember.
Oh my gosh.
So, that is such a thing. But if I were to ask you, last 25 years, maybe give me 3-4 names that would be, I think I could guess your names.
Yeah.
VY.
Yeah, without a doubt, Vince Young.
Johnny.
Without a doubt, Johnny Manziel.
Reggie Bush.
Yeah, dynamic, without a doubt. And see, dynamic, that makes me think big plays. Who's making big plays? And Tamadong Su, look for the guys on defense as well.
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton, without a doubt. Most of them are going to be quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
But a guy who didn't make the list, and he didn't do enough, but somebody I just thought was dynamic was Jalen Waddell from Alabama.
Waddle. Heck yeah.
Like Waddle, yeah. You're like, to me, dynamic means the guy, you're just kind of holding your breath every time he touches the ball.
That something dynamic will happen.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson?
Yes.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So, was he with in that?
Oh, you know
frame?
what? I might be wrong. Hold on. It was end of 90s, early 2000s, right?
It all goes so fast for me because it was early 2000s because he was coming here.
Yeah,
there's a great chance he was coming here, and then they fired RC, so that would have been around 2002. So absolutely. Oops.
I'm going to read you the list. Okay.
Okay.
You can tell me if you disagree with these. In number one on this list, which I think you might, 1, 2, or 3, I think you can kind of whatever. Reggie Bush.
Okay.
To me, he was the most dynamic player. I know that you got to see VY up very close. Reggie was like must-watch television. I didn't care about USC, but I did want to watch Reggie. He was amazing. He's number 1 on their list. Number 2 on the list, Cam Newton.
Well, he was certainly dynamic. I don't think he was as dynamic as Vince Young. The thing that was so good about Cam Newton was if it was 3rd and 5, he found a way to get 6.
Yeah.
When I think of Cam Newton, the one play that comes to mind, and I was there, was his weaving through the LSU secondary and carrying Patrick Peterson into the end zone. Can you imagine what other just out there big play do you remember? I mean, yeah, he made some passes. He brought Auburn back from what? I think they're now 28-0 or 27-0 against Alabama. Yeah, spectacular. I have no issue with that. But what other big play just really comes to mind?
No. Big play. I mean, I'd have to go back and I remember that one now, but off the top of my mind, I can't.
And Vince Young, love him or hate him, give credit where credit is due. There were so many of those 80-yard runs or 70-yard long runs. So,
well, number 3 is not VY. It's our guy, Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel. I wish Johnny would have played 3 years. I wish he would have played 4.
I wish he would still play.
Yeah. I can't. The word dynamic was created for Johnny Manziel.
Yep.
You talk about a guy where you're holding your breath.
Yeah.
Nick Saban was holding his breath every time.
And the thing with Johnny, to me, is you can argue which was his most dynamic moment, right? I mean, you could talk about some of the throws he made in the Ole Miss game. You could talk about the Duke comeback. You can talk about what he did at the Oklahoma. Obviously, what he did against Bama. There's so many moments where I'm like, I remember where I was seated, what I was thinking at that time. And of course, it's our guy, so we have stronger attachment to those memories. But so many different ones.
You could ask Gabe Bach, and Gabe Bach would attest to this. In the second game of his career against SMU, every Aggie will remember this. He's kind of under pressure, kind of rolling out to the left, and the pressure's converging on him, and he looks like a shortstop or a second baseman turning a double play. He jumps in the air with raising his feet, throws it for a touchdown. And I looked at Gabe, I said, he's a Heisman Trophy contender right now. That most people can't do that.
Yeah.
And then, came the running and, the incredible runs. Like I said, the word dynamic was made with him in mind.
It says here, Manziel rushed for 1,400 yards and 21 touchdowns that year that he won the Heisman, 4,000 passing yards, and an SEC leading 37 touchdown passes.
Yeah, you make a strong case that he should have been number one on that list, but I'm not going to get bent out of shape if you're in the top 5.
Number 4. Not VY.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson.
Pretty, dynamic. I personally would have put Vince Young ahead of Lamar Jackson, but Lamar Jackson, and we saw him.
Yep.
Dang near Jake Hubenek almost beat him. And by the way, he's not on the list, I guess. I'm assuming A&M's that A&M only has one guy on the list. Christian Kirk.
Oh.
And that guy was, you talk about holding your breath every time somebody touched the ball. But go on.
VY 5.
Okay.
6. I was a little surprised by this, but maybe not. Travis Hunter.
I got to be honest with you. I didn't watch him enough.
I didn't either. Adrian Peterson, number 7.
Yeah, something just tells me right there I'd put Peterson ahead of Travis Hunter.
There's one on this list that I would have put higher, but we'll get to there. And I'm not going to do the whole list. I'm just doing the top 10. Darren McFadden, number 8. He was fun to watch.
He was fun. He was so good. I interviewed his mother one time, and let's just say she was as colorful as he was fast.
Devonta Smith, number 9. That guy, but
I'm going to tell you, again, the receiver on that team that I went was Waddle.
Jalen Waddle. Well, I'm actually gonna give you 11 because I like number 11 more than I like number 10. Tavon Austin, number 10, who was incredible to watch.
Yeah, West Virginia.
Yep.
Yeah, he was.
But number 11, the Honey Badger, he was must-watch television at that time too.
He was fun.
Tyrann Mathieu. All right, so Pat White made the list. Kyler Murray made the list. Devin Hester, Saquon Barkley, Michael Crabtree, who was incredible. Christian McCaffrey, Darren Sproles, RG3.
Kyler Murray would have been top 10 easy if he just played another season, I believe. I remember writing, and I'm so disappointed it didn't work out here, but I remind that Johnny Manziel is a once-in-a-lifetime player if you live to be 5 years old, because Kyler Murray is the next one. Mm-hmm. And they were so similar in a lot of ways.
Yep. All right, we'll hit a break here. When we come back, I got some more football stuff to get into. Right now, I almost had to call Rollo Insurance this weekend. Hey, Morgan, on Thursday, we got to get insurance for our kids. Okay, thank you. We got it. Boom. Saturday or Sunday. Hey, Morgan, we had a little issue with a crazy lady, but luckily we didn't have to call her. Morgan's our guy at Rollo Insurance. They can take care of you. They take care of a lot of folks here in Bryan College Station. They take care of a lot of folks all around Texas, 60 offices in the great state of Texas. Whether it's your home, your auto, your business, or your ranch insurance, you want to start a relationship with an expert who understands the situation and your situation. Your agent becomes familiar with your specific needs and provides a customized protection that mass market insurers cannot match. Whether you need advice or a claim, you need to reach out to Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. The website, rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs, or call them up, 888-44-ROLLO. That's 888-44-ROLLO. It's Rollo Insurance.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan, or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
Sometimes I forget how things change. Did you realize or remember, because I didn't until I read this article, that the college football playoffs were not supposed to expand to 12 teams until 26, but they actually did it early.
Yeah, I remember going early. I couldn't have told you I remembered that it was 26.
Yeah. So, because Sankey was asked about the possibilities of moving to 14 or 16.
Well, 16's inevitable.
Yeah.
I wonder why they're even talking about 14 and not just go to 16. That's just the college football way of doing.
But you're one who believes in 8, correct?
No, I always thought the perfect. I can't come up with the word I'm looking for. The perfect number was 8, and the reason why is I wanted the conference champion of the now 4 major conferences to get an automatic bid. And if there's only 4 other bids available, it puts such an importance on winning your conference championship. And I think it's going to be sad and a bad thing for college football when the conference championship games either, in some cases, are just obsolete and canceled, or just don't matter. Like in basketball, do they matter? I mean, do you really remember who wins a conference championship in basketball anymore?
So how do you make it matter?
Now, when it's 16, I think it's there's going to be less. The more teams you have in the playoff, the less important the conference championship.
I've used this example,
and I do wonder if they're going to eventually just do away with them.
So I've used this example before. International soccer, which I know you love. You're a huge believer in Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona.
That's your team. But in international soccer in Europe, they have multiple things happening at once. Okay, so you have like this big thing called the Champions League, where all the teams from other countries play in, and there's your league, and then there's also these little tournaments. Winning your league is just as important as winning in the Champions League. Some people would put a little bit more emphasis in the Champions League, but my point is they've figured out a formula that makes that matter still, while also making this matter. Why can't we figure out a formula, and I use the word formula, why can't we figure out a system to where it is a huge deal to win your conference tournament, and yet there's still a playoff to worry about?
I can't speak to the way they do things in Europe.
Yep.
I just know that everybody's ultimate prize, all anybody talks about, you never hear about A&M, people at A&M say, man, we're out there to win the SEC championship. It's always win a natty. Oh,
well, make the playoffs right now becomes the thing, right?
It's all natty. I see that. And yeah, the step to do that is to get into the playoffs. And but that's the goal, win the national championship. And as it should be. But you can win the national championship without winning a conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, and if it's 8, you could still win a national championship without winning a conference championship. But you would almost, you cannot just assume you're going to get in unless you won the conference championship. And that's why it would be so, to me now, if you don't win the conference championship, like look at the SEC, they want 4 teams in a playoff. If you don't win the conference championship, well,
still get in.
You probably still get, if you're a caliber of winning it, you still got 3 shots.
I believe you said this before, and if I'm wrong, correct me. But you feel like bowl games should have a financial
absolutely
to the athletes, correct?
That's how, in my opinion, that's the best way to keep bowl games to be interesting. And players aren't just leaving. Remember a few years ago, like the whole Florida team, this was after 2022, set out the Cotton Bowl and Oklahoma trounced them, right?
Yep.
They had get 4 guys that were number 1 draft choices that just didn't play. But if you gave them a financial incentive, hey, we're paying out $2 million to the winner.
Yep.
Well, okay, then make it $1 million to the school, and $1 million gets distributed to the players for the winning team. And and make it where the losing team doesn't get as much money. Maybe they get $500,000 distributed to the players on losing. Yeah, because that way, not only will players be more likely to stay for a nice paycheck, but then they'll have a reason to actually play hard and try to win.
Could you do that same formula for a conference championship? Now, you don't have the problem of losing players for that one, right? I think for the most part, people are not playing in conference championship, although we've heard rumors of, guys wanting a better NIL deal before the playoffs. But I'm just saying, but could there be some kind of financial reward for the university, for the athlete? Like, I'm trying to find a way to make the conference championship matter again.
Well, I think they are getting paid for that conference championship. I think their NIL deals includes the whole season. The conference championship is part of the season if you get there, right?
But I'm saying on top of.
I don't have a problem with like in the playoffs in the NFL, as you know, as everybody knows, they get, you can call it a bonus. I think in the NFL your contract is only paid during the regular season.
Yep.
And then when you get into the playoffs, every time you win, you call it a bonus. You get an extra. So yeah, if you want to say, all right, we're going to play it now, where if you're in the SEC championship game and your team wins, you get a $25,000 payment for winning. I'm all for more people getting money and not so many, and I'm talking about players, and not, think about how the tens of millions of dollars that were for decades just held and shared among a very few fat cats.
Yeah.
So I'm for the fat cats getting a little thinner. And I'm talking about all the different assistant AD to this, an assistant to that, an assistant to, just let an AD go out there and do his freaking job instead of having 10 assistants. And then taking all that money. And yeah, I'm all for more people getting money. So if that means paying some guys into the bonuses for winning conference championships, and I'm all for it.
So some of these quotes are from the Golick and Golick show on the FanDuel Sports Network, but they asked him about having a computer, Sankey, going back to Sankey, or having a committee. And he says, my thought is there's always a pendulum swing. So you heard plenty last year that maybe the year before we shouldn't have a committee. But if you return to, 2008, 9, 10, 11 in particular, I think it was 11 when LSU and Alabama played, there was plenty of opinion and commentary on we shouldn't have a computer to decide this because that was the non-human factor. I think there's a balance of age of analytics. There's a way for data to be improved, in my opinion. And I think there is a human factor that needs to be involved.
Let me ask you something, David.
Yes, sir.
Let's go back to 2020. Do you think A&M should have been in the playoff?
Yes, I do.
Okay. They went 8-1 against all SEC competition. Only loss was on the road against Alabama.
Yep.
Beat number 3 or number 4 Florida, beat a couple other ranked teams. Didn't get in. Do you think that A&M would have had a better chance getting in with a computer that's just analyzing data, however you want to say it, and nothing else, or with humans that might be biased because what do you know? The teams that got in, Ohio State, big name, that the Big Ten changed their rules just so they could get in, and they only played like 6 games. And Notre Dame, which, yes, they beat Clemson when Clemson's starting quarterback was out with COVID, and then played them again. So they too had played a rematch and got beaten significantly by Clemson. And I don't know what their big win was that year.
And they lost late.
So who gets in if the computer is just going to go by data?
I do think
that year.
That year A&M gets in.
And that's all I need to hear.
So I think there needs to be both. And I don't know how you make it work, but I do understand the human element of it, right? Understanding, but okay, here's one, Florida State. If you would let the computer decide, they would have gotten in.
And I would have let them in.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to tell me that, you can't win without your starting quarterback, then I'm going to ask you, well, why the hell wasn't USC in? Because they had the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback from the year before, and they still had him, and he was the number 1 draft choice, and USC sucked. So by your logic, not yours, but by that logic, you should be good just because you have a good quarterback. By the way, that Florida State team, they played a top 20 team in the ACC Championship, Louisville, without that starting quarterback and beat the living daylights out of them. Why? Because they had a good team. Their defense played great.
Mark that. We're going to hit a break here. Ag Engineering 12 says, Nuño, I like you, but you're crazy to say winning your domestic league means as much as winning the Champions League. The reason I say that is because my team wins the Champions League all the time, and all I hear is the other teams talking about, well, we won the league. So you're probably right. I was probably just stretching it there. I'm actually going to agree with you. And there's a former baseball coach of A&M that says winning the SEC is harder than winning a national championship.
One did say that.
Yeah.
And then he didn't win the
national championship. Must be nice.
Swing and a miss.
It is heating up, OB. So's Duck Camp. Go check out our good friends at Duck Camp. They've got the best gear when it comes to anything. They've got some great discounts going on as we speak. Make sure you check out the website, duckcamp.com. They've got the lightweight performance crews. They've got the scout shorts. They've got the essential hoodies. They've got the lightweight fishing shirts. Whether you're gearing up for the summer or just counting the days till kickoff Kyle Field, if you're an Aggie dad and you want something done and you just had Father's Day yesterday, make sure you go get some great stuff at duckcamp.com. They probably still have a sale going on, so if you go to the website, you can see exactly what that sale may be. But they have awesome clothes, and they have sales all the time. The website is duckcamp.com. That website, again, duckcamp.com. Do me a favor, check it out.
Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it.
TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio Go Hour coming to a close, but OB is going to stick around for a few extra minutes. We're going to do a 9 o'clock segment. OB, did you see this report that Texas State is a favorite to head to the Pac-12?
Yo, eat them up, Bobcats.
Pac-12, they're trying to survive, man.
Whenever I feel like having a nice, West Coast vacation, I'm heading to San Marcos. But good for them. Their program has obviously gained a lot of traction. And I think what the Pac-12 is trying to do is
they're trying to seal this deal, this new television deal, and they're trying to add to it.
And want a presence in Texas, I guess. And I guess that's a better option than UTEP for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because UTEP's not in.
And I think Memphis is the other program they're trying to get. So they're trying to add Texas State and Memphis before they get this new deal done, or at least they're close to signing a new deal, I guess, with ESPN. It's interesting because 3 years ago, maybe a little bit more than 3 years, maybe 4 years ago, I would have said to you, the Big 12 is going to die and the Pac-12 is going to thrive. And now what it seems to be is the Big 12 is somewhat thriving, right? Thriving. Yeah. They've lasted longer. They're doing better than I expected.
Well, they're doing better than the Pac-12.
They're doing significantly better than the Pac-12.
I think and this sounds, I'm not going to say the Big 12 had good leadership because they don't.
I think your
maybe they
do
now.
Yeah.
But the Pac-12 has had just horrendous.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I would love, old man yelling at the clouds. I'd love for college football to get more regional again.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think those days are gone.
I don't know if they're gone. I think in the future.
Okay, I want to hear this.
When it becomes a super league, it'll go back to being regional.
Divisions and things like that.
Yeah. It'll be the Southwest Division, the Southeast Division.
Okay.
I do believe that.
Well, that might hold water.
Right? So the Southwest Conference will be revisited, which I don't necessarily like that.
Let's see, that would be Texas, A&M, Oklahoma, LSU, Arkansas, Missouri, probably.
In that cluster, yeah.
And maybe somebody else. Did
you say Oklahoma in that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But you got to play the Southeastern Division.
Yeah.
So, I think that's the future. Now, when is that future? With college football, it's like,
it could be 5 years, it could be 20 years.
It could be 60. It may not happen.
I don't think it'll be 60.
Okay, it better not. I don't know if I'm ready for that, but that's something I'm looking forward to seeing.
But good for Southwest Texas. And I know Texas State, they're Southwest Texas to me.
Yeah.
Good for them.
When we come back, OB, I'm going to ask you who can be an X factor, and it can't be the easy one, okay? Can't just be Le'Veon Moss. I want the X factor, and now I want a Y.
Okay.
All right, that and more.
I got an answer for
you. And you guys can text us your answer on that, 979-693-1150. It is TexAgs. Hey.
Hey.
TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rallo Insurance Studio. Not the go hour, it's the extended oh no hour.
Okay.
I don't know. I think I've used the oh no hour with somebody else. Opie, who can be an X factor and
it's
why?
The on hour.
We're on again.
Because I'm on it. I'm on a little while longer.
With Nuño.
Yeah.
Olin
Nuño.
You know, if I ever have another kid.
Odd hour.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
If I have another kid, I'm going to call him Olin.
No, you won't.
You're right. Yeah.
If I ever have another kid, I'm not going to name him Olin.
Oluño.
If I ever had another kid, what would I name him? Rockadelier.
Rock Buchanan?
Rock.
All right. Who can be an X factor this year?
Well,
and I mean, like, when I say an X factor, like, oh, okay. Like, this guy puts A&M as a 10-win team.
Well, okay. Can I give you one on offense and one on defense? Well, here's my
you give me more than one.
Here's my offensive X factor. My offensive X factor is Terry Bussey. You know, I feel good about the running game. I feel good about the offensive line. I feel good about the quarterback. I feel good about tight end. I even feel good about some of the receivers. You know, I feel good about Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver, and I'm really excited to find out what Jerome Miles is going to do. But Terry Bussey, we saw glimpses. We saw his ability, his speed, and his ability to make plays. And I want to see, does he become this guy that becomes a consistent threat? You know, he's kind of my X factor on offense.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I like it. I like it. I'm going to go lowest hanging fruit.
Reese likes it. You're going to say Marcel.
I'm going to say Marcel. And then I'm going to ask you this question. Follow me here, okay?
I'm following.
I am not suggesting that Marcel Reed is going to have Jaden Daniels' career.
Okay.
I'm not suggesting that. But who was Jaden Daniels before his second year at LSU?
Well, he was really good at Arizona State.
He was, but who was he? Like, was he a name that people were talking about?
I think if you, and I know you do. I think if you really follow
college
football, you knew Jaden Daniels at Arizona State, and when he was transferring to LSU, you're like, it's interesting. I wonder how he's going to do.
Correct.
And did they not win the conference? They did. West? So I think he was a guy that he was good. He wasn't. I didn't know he was Heisman Trophy good.
Well, I'm going to give you some of his numbers from 2021, the first year that he was like the main guy at Arizona State. Okay.
I know this. He doesn't want to run into Edgerrin Cooper.
No, he doesn't.
Because Edgerrin was going to strip that ball, and the next thing you know, Damani Richards is going to run it in, and the game's going to change.
Now, again, I just want you guys to hear, I am not suggesting that Marcel's going to have this Jaden Daniels type season.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, if you look at Jaden Daniels' numbers as a first-year starter,
all right,
they were excellent. Excellent.
First-year starter at Arizona State or at LSU?
At Arizona State.
Okay.
21.
Okay. All right.
He was a junior, by the way, as his first, because I don't think he started the entire season the year before. The first year that he started all the games in 2021 at Arizona State.
I thought he was a freshman when he started.
Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. In 2021, 13 games played, okay? He threw for 2,380 yards.
Okay.
10 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions, a passer rating of 136, yards per game, 183. That season, he rushed for 710 yards. So his total offensive numbers were 3,090 yards.
Okay.
237 yards per game in 13
That's in the Pac-12.
In the Pac-12.
Uh-huh.
Have you looked at Marcel's numbers? Because I'll give them to you.
Many times.
Okay.
Didn't he throw for about 1,800 yards?
He did. He threw for 1,800 yards. He rushed for 547 yards, 7-4. So his total yards were, is that right? 2,411 yards. And there's his passing numbers. What I'm trying to say is that Marcel Reed was thrust into action last year. I thought did a really nice job. And we still have to see much growth. Okay? Jaden Daniels in a Pac-12, and I'm just using this as a comparison because somewhat of the skill set Jaden could run, he could throw. Jaden was a great passer, right? He obviously did what he did at LSU, legendary. I'm not saying that that's what Marcel is going to be. What I'm saying is you can start somewhere and go somewhere else as you get more comfortable in the position.
I think what you're saying about Jaden Daniels is something that I've been trying to hammer a long time about Marcel is that young guys that play get better. They typically, not always, but typically get better. The more they play, the better they get. I think Kyle Allen was the exact opposite. So it's not 100%.
Right.
But I'm with you. I expect Marcel Reed to get significantly better. Now, we're not saying that, he's going to become a Heisman Trophy winner. That would be unfair to say that about Marcel.
So in 2019, he did play in 12 games as a freshman. Sophomore year, which was the COVID year, only played in 4 games. Okay. And then his 2021 season, which was the Zach Calzada, Haynes King years, just for reference. That's when he started 13 games. So technically he had started as a freshman back in 2019. Okay. So he had a long college career.
Yeah. Yeah. And he steadily got better. And that's what we just expect from Marcel, to steadily get better.
His freshman year, really good numbers, actually.
In the Pac-12?
In the Pac-12. Threw for almost 3,000 yards and 2 interceptions.
Yeah, I remember watching him. For some reason, I can't explain it. I've always kind of liked Arizona State. Maybe it's because I liked deviled ham at one time.
Yep.
And their old mascot on their helmet looked like the deviled ham guy. I don't know. There's no, but I remember watching them on Big 12 or Pac-12 After Dark, thinking, that got something there.
But now, just for a moment, just for this dialogue, put Marcel Reed, what he did last year, and put him in the Pac-12. Or put him in the Big 12. Put him in somewhere else. Not taking on some of the gauntlet that is the SEC.
Right.
Do you think his numbers would be a little more gaudy?
Yes. Yes, I do. Okay. And I think that's fair. I think anybody who's watched Pac-12 football and SEC football would say, the defenses are better. It's like remember, we were talking about this just 2 years ago. When everybody, hey, look at all these great quarterbacks in the Pac-12. They're all throwing for 3,000 yards. Yeah.
In the Pac-12.
And look at their defenses.
Yeah.
Nobody played defense in the Pac-12. So, it would be.
So,
now, okay, go ahead.
No, but again, if we just get a little better Marcel, I want a lot better Marcel, right?
I expect to see him significantly better.
But a little better Marcel.
Mm-hmm.
With the receivers that he has around him, I think we have an upgraded wide receiver. Would you agree?
Especially if my X factor comes through in Terry Bussey.
If Terry Bussey is an X factor, and Casey Concepcion is what he's always been, holy smokes!
Yeah, and Miles turns out to be a freshman who can give a significant contribution, and Mario Craver, and Ashton Bethel Roman. We keep forgetting about him and Isaiah Williams.
But we've heard nothing but great things about him. Yeah.
So I'm with you. But look, what if Terry becomes the downfield, stretch the field threat that we've been looking for?
Which is absolutely possible. If Marcel takes the step north that we're talking about, and he becomes, because I think Marcel is an X factor in all. Regardless of what you think of him as a passer, you have to game plan against Marcel. You have to.
You do. I know Eli Drinkwitz did.
That's right. And then Connor just took him to the woodshed.
And then my defensive X factor, I don't know if it's, I'm going to put it, it's really a position, but I'm going to say Bryce Anderson. If Bryce Anderson plays like we thought he was going, I thought he played pretty well as a sophomore. I thought he took a step back last year. Now he had a shoulder injury.
Yep.
So we're going to give him a pass for that. But if not him, because he's not it's the safety position, I think. And I could throw in any number of defensive linemen. Tyler Onium, I don't even.
Onyedem.
I have problems. Marco Jones.
If that freshman is out there playing a bunch, that means he deserves it.
JT Sanders or JD Sanders, the kid from
DJ.
DJ Sanders. Good. It's early. I'm not completely
JD Vance. I know you're thinking about him.
I'm not completely into football, but I know he's the big Sanders kid down there from Belleville, which produced Hunter Goodwin.
So who is an X factor? And look, I went easy, right? By the way, another easy one. It could be Casey Concepcion. It could absolutely be. If he is what he was a couple years ago at NC State, and again, I'm using the word if because a lot has to happen. I think just an average Casey Concepcion is really good. You get that version of him.
I want to see what he was 2 years ago at NC State. And I want to see a guy that's hard to cover, especially, I think he's going to be playing the slot a lot, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. But man, he comes out of a break pretty quick, and he can get the ball and do something with it. And if they play him wide, he's just fast. I expect really good things. I'm not saying that they're going to be as good a receiving core as, say, Auburn. But I do think that they're going to be a passing game that you have to respect.
So I chose a Heisman-winning quarterback who had an incredible season as my...
Wasn't the biggest guy in the world.
No. As my...
Like Marcel.
As somebody just to kind of... And I'm not thinking he's going to go that trajectory, but who's a more modest comparison? Somebody that we could think of in the last few years, like, hey, this is what he did his first couple years, but then he took this big step up. Is there somebody not named Jaden Daniels who, as a rookie in the NFL, had one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen?
Well, how about Kellen Mond, who showed you flashes as a freshman and then as a sophomore? And he showed you flashes. Remember the long run against Arkansas, and they called him out of bounds, and it should have been an 80-yard touchdown run. And he would do some good things, and he would do some things that would just drive you crazy. And he did that again in his junior year, but his senior year, he only threw 3 interceptions all year.
Yeah.
So now one of the big differences is Kellen, as much as I liked him, and I think he's one of the quarterbacks I was right on, because I remember there was a dipstick guy from the Dallas Morning News that was saying that he should just end football and just run track.
Who said that?
Was some guy was at the Dallas Morning News, and he actually said that. And then he said it the night before the Clemson game here when he threw for like 300 yards against Clemson. They almost won. And then he left here as the all-time leading passer. So there was always people criticizing, but that senior year he was a really good quarterback. So, but the difference is Kellen was a little bit robotic, a little bit stiff, and I think you look at Marcel, and man, he's like the joystick, guy that's. I mean, he's obviously not like who was the kid from Huntsville that played for the Kansas City Chiefs? Dante Hall. Not that kind of joystick, but a guy that you don't know what he's going to. When Kellen ran, he ran straight. Marcel can go all over. Ask that poor kid from Florida who got his jock was up around his helmet. Marcel faked him out so bad.
A year ago today, the conversation was about Connor, right?
Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to be good. That's wrong.
I was wrong too. I thought he was going to be great, and we had reason to believe it. By the way, heading into the season. His touchdown to interception ratio was ridiculous. He had 16 touchdowns to 2 interceptions in his career. And I can point at least one of those interceptions and remember it wasn't Connor's fault. I think there was, am I right about that? It was the Miami game where Anias fell.
He slipped.
That was one of his interceptions.
And the second one at Miami, I don't put on him. He was under heavy pressure on 4th down.
Yeah. And he just had to throw it.
Am I going to take the sack? Am I going to run out of bounds like Amaliva? No, the only thing you can do is put up in the end zone and hope for the best, and it got intercepted. I didn't put that on him.
But basically, he had 1,700 yards passing in his career and 16-2, okay? And there was a lot of props about him, right, coming into this last season. I mean, Marcel's numbers, they're not that, but they're not that off. It's 1,800 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
I always say compare his numbers to DJ Lagway. And there are people that are already wanting to anoint DJ as a Heisman contender, and I might be among them. But I'm just saying, compare Marcel's numbers to DJ Lagway.
Yeah, and I didn't want this to be just about Marcel. I want it to be about like people that can be an X factor this year. But I think sometimes I wanted to just get there through what a possible growth pattern could look like. And I don't think it's Jaden Daniels. What I'm saying is Jaden Daniels was really good with a Pac-12 schedule. What he became later, I don't know if you would have been able to predict. Because I remember us going into the 23 season, we didn't buy Jaden Daniels as much as we probably should have by the end of the year.
I would not have thought of him as the guy that's going to win the Heisman Trophy. I thought he was a good quarterback. Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's my type of quarterback, a quarterback that can throw but isn't afraid to run. And when he runs, he makes things happen. I just think that I look at Marcel and I see does he have to get better? Yes. I don't understand those that critique his passing arm. Like, oh, it's not this, something. His passing arm, it's strong enough. Besides that, a strong passing arm to me is overrated. Give me accuracy and give me the ability to read the defense. And that's where Marcel has to get better in reading the defense. But the more you play, the better you get at that. And I think if he has a guy that can take the top off the defense, and maybe that could be Terry Bussey, that will make him even better.
So somebody on the YouTube page, let me see if I can find it, asked what his longest run of the year was. That's coming from Michael. And I'm looking at his stats right now. His longest run was only 31 yards. I say only.
That's against Florida, his first one?
Yes, it was. But he had several 20-yard runs. He had 19 against USC, 24 against Texas as his long, 20 against South Carolina, 20 against LSU, 18 against Bowling Green, 31 against Florida. So he had a lot of these nice chunk runs, right? Yeah. Very nice chunk runs. He didn't have a 50, 60-yard touchdown, no.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Luke, you give us your potential X factor for the 2025 season.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about pretty notable names. One that I would like to go to is somewhere in the linebacker room, because a lot of questions on this defense are, what is the defensive line going to look like? Elko is known for having that elite secondary, but in between that, a good bridge between that is the linebacker play. And you think about A&M linebackers, there's been a huge step up in that final year. Think of Edgerrin Cooper, think of Buddy Johnson. What would Torian York be? Could he be your X factor? Or maybe I'm thinking more Scooby Williams, because what you got from Scooby last year was serviceable, but he was playing hurt the entire season. He got injured early against Notre Dame. So a lot of players have, I think of that step that Edgerrin Cooper took playing next to Torian York. What could Scooby Williams be in this defense next year, playing against Torian, who is going to be in a draft year, looking to increase his stock? What could that linebacker room be? Because last year it was good. It was just, I think, middle of the pack, SEC average linebacker play. But if you get elite linebacker play like you had a couple years ago with Torian York as a freshman and then Edgerrin Cooper in his final year, I think that could be a real X factor for this team.
People forget Scooby played most of the year hurt. And he had a very nice year.
I always say that his game against Mississippi State was the second best individual game I saw on defense all year. The best being Nick Scorton against Arkansas.
Oh, yeah.
But the second best game, go back and look at it. And by the way, I think he had the tackle that on the fourth down that ended it. The only difference there is I've seen Torian York play for 2 years. He's no longer an X. He's a factor.
Right.
But
can he become?
He can get better.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. In fact, he needs to get better.
Because wouldn't you say that a couple years back, Edgerrin went from a factor that we knew to an X factor?
I think I knew that Edgerrin Cooper was good going into that last year that he was here. I didn't know that he was going to go from good to freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So hopefully Scooby or Torian goes from good to freaking amazing. But look, it's X factor. It's kind of abstract. Different people are going to have a definition of what that means. And to me, it's a guy that you haven't seen a lot of. Maybe he's been a back. Heck, it might be Jordan Lockhart as a linebacker. But I'm looking at areas where you got to get better, and there's a lot of questions. And like I said, when I look at Terry Bussey, I'm talking about a guy that you see a lot of ability there. Yeah. But what's he going to do with it?
Let me do one more for you.
Okay.
We all think that Le'Veon is an X factor, right?
No, he's a now factor.
He's a now, but he's a game changer for that offense, correct?
Yeah, he's the best player on the team.
What if Ruben is just as good?
Ruben could be an X factor.
If Ruben is just as good as Le'Veon, which coming into last season, we thought that could be the case, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and we already know what Amari is, right? Let's think of Arian Foster. We know what Amari is. So that backfield that we tout so much. But if Reuben Owens, who is still a TBD, right? Because we didn't see enough his freshman year, but we saw promise.
Yeah.
Last year, we can't count at all because he wasn't himself, right? He wasn't fully healthy when he played. What if he is, like, it doesn't matter. Like, kind of like what I thought could have happened with Spiller and A-Chain. Remember when A-Chain reached the level of Spiller and actually surpassed him.
Right.
But but we didn't use A-Chain enough, right?
Right.
What if both of those guys are that?
Yeah. First of all, I think Moss is better than Spiller. I do. And that's not a shot at Isaiah. Isaiah was very good. I think Moss is better. And again, that's only praise for Moss. That's not a knock on Spiller. Outstanding. I don't think Reuben is going to be what A-Chain was, but if he can be in that area code, I'll take it, because I think Devon A-Chain is the best running back maybe that's ever been here. Was he underused? Yeah. Absolutely, but misused. But I think he's spectacular. I would hope that the old cliche. I would hope that Reuben consistently becomes the lightning to Moss's thunder. Yeah, you know, Moss. We saw him get 75-yard touchdown run against Missouri, but Moss is usually going to be, his long runs are going to be 20 to 25 because he's hitting tacklers and bouncing off them. There was a play against LSU where he's running and he hits like three guys and he breaks out and if he keeps his feet, it's going to be a 60-yard touch, but he doesn't, and it's a 20-yard run. And I think that's what you're going to get from Moss. Moss is going to hammer you and hammer you and hammer you. You shouldn't want to play. And then you hope that Reuben comes in and slashes and slashes and slashes, right?
Yeah. I'm excited for football season.
Yes, you may.
Yes, go ahead, Luke. You asked. Did you ask on the air or did you ask behind the scenes?
No, that was behind the scenes.
Okay.
I don't.
That's why you whispered.
Go, Luke.
Yep. How about Mark Naboo on the offensive end? Someone who also got injured early on in the season. He was your starting center last year, or I guess for one game before he was injured, but he won the job over Coley. TJ Shanahan had to fill that role too. Yep. But what is that offensive line, which we're already praising as having that continuity, and PFF and ESPN are all saying it's a top 5 or top 10 unit? What do they look like when you bring back Mark Naboo if he returns to the form that we thought he could be last year post-injury?
Well, I think Mark Naboo is not he's not the X factor unless he becomes that dominant center that because they're already good in the offensive line.
Yeah, but I'm gonna throw one in, okay? Because we already expect it, but we don't talk about it. When Le'Veon went down, who else also went down? Chase Basantis. Right? That affected that offensive line greatly. Chase Basantis is an X factor on that offensive line. Really good, makes them great.
We just need them to be healthy in the offensive line. It's crazy that they put up the numbers they did as an offensive line when you talk about the number of games missed by players. Naboo was the only one, I guess, that was lost for the year, but when you talk about how many, like you just mentioned, Chase Basantis, how many games were missed. But they're good. They're already good. I have no doubt about the offense. Could they get better with Naboo? Absolutely.
Let's be great.
Be great.
From good to great. Obi, thank you for staying in.
You bet.
Appreciate that.
Never a bad time to talk about college football.
Yeah, and I feel like these topics we can, they're kind of evergreen. You can talk about them all times, but now as we're getting closer to SEC Media Days, it's like now it becomes real.
It does. It's getting closer and closer and closer.
Less than a month. If your wheels have been damaged by the potholes in town or your curbs or your medians, go see the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Don't replace damaged rims. I want you to repair them because the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair have over 2 decades of experience, and they're going to talk through the entire process and make sure that your wheel is returned to perfectly working, safe conditions. They road force balance all their wheels to make sure you get the smoothest, most safest possible ride out there. They have experience in repairing everything from minor curb rash to polishing to much more complex jobs like bent or cracked rims. Don't let anyone else tell you that your wheels need to be replaced. Let the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair give you a free evaluation and save you hundreds of dollars. So if your wheels are in good shape, but you just need a fresh new look, you got the pros there. They're going to help you find that unique custom look for you. If you need tires to match, they'll get you, right? The Brazos Valley Wheel Repair can help you with that as well. Bring in a new tire quote from any other place that sells tires, and if they can't beat it, they'll hand you $20 right there on the spot. The website is wheelrepair.com. That is bvwheelrepair.com, or go to 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. It is 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. It is Brazos Valley Wheel Repair.
Hey everyone, David Nuño and Olin Buchanan and OB. Typically, we start off the show in this section, and we call it the Holistic Planning Cool
The cool zone, yeah. It's pretty cool.
What do we know about holistic planning?
Well, a lot of cool stuff. For instance, holistic planning can help you with your investments.
I love that.
They can help you with your taxes. So
I don't like paying taxes.
You can get that money from your investments and then keep it. They'll help you keep it away from the government.
Yep.
Not all of it, but more of it. And then they'll even help you with your estate planning. When you're old like me, you got to make sure some of that money you made is there for when you want to retire and just enjoy the rest of your life.
You want your estate to be planned, but they also do something else.
Yeah. Well, if you are like, say, a sports fan and you've always wanted to,
everybody watching us, right?
Yeah. And you want to always dream of being an owner, well, in a certain way you can, because they will broker the deal for you to invest in pro sports.
Yeah, what you need to do is check out investinprosports.com. That's where you can get all the information if you want to invest in a team. I don't know what team. He'd probably try to buy the Cowboys. I'd try to buy a lot of the Houston teams. Whatever it may be, investinprosports.com. It is holistic planning, and we love hanging out at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. In a few minutes, we'll be talking with Jason Glenn. Aggie, great chit-chat about his life, maybe even bring up his brother a little bit, talk about the upcoming A&M football season. Luke, you pulled down the mic. You got something for me? It looks like you might have something for me.
No, I was just prepared in case you asked me.
What would you want me to ask you?
Anything?
What's the name of the show you were watching this weekend that you were breaking down that everybody was just like, making noises about?
Yeah, so that new hit show is called Love Island. It's on Peacock, and it's just kind of like what the youngins are watching these days, like your Cheers or other people's Office.
Cheers is before my time. I mean, I saw it. I was alive for it, but it wasn't like a show that I was. Do not compare it to Seinfeld, though. If you do that, we will fight.
Well, I was just about to get to maybe like your Seinfeld, but it's just kind of
it's
this
not
new
at that level.
Of,
it can't be. Maybe 90210. Maybe.
Yeah. It's like The Bachelor, Bachelorette, but kind of on steroids. So if you could just give me maybe 30 seconds of your time, and maybe before we lose every viewer, to explain the premise of the show.
Sure.
It's just like, how can we get the most mentally unstable, good-looking, young single people in one location in Fiji and just mentally traumatize them with drama and get them drunk so they'll say crazy things? And then the whole point of the show is to get them to couple up. But it's funny because nobody actually wants to couple up. They just kind of want to mess around with a bunch of different people. So, of course, it makes for great TV. And last night was just one of the great episodes in a long line of many seasons of this show. So we've, of course, had a lot of fun breaking it down and putting our analytical spin on it like we do with all things at TexAgs.
So there was a show when I was your age and younger called The Real World. Are you familiar with The Real World?
Was that like TMZ?
No.
Oh, never
TMZ
mind.
At all. It's like Love Island in an apartment in New York, okay? And they'd put like these 8 people together, and there was Puck, there was Pedro Zamora, there was I forget everybody's name. But at my time, that was the show. I guarantee you our audience, a lot of people probably won't admit that they watched it, but they watched it. I guarantee you Billy watched it. Later on in the show, he'll probably say, yeah, I used to watch it. The Real World was the show. It was on MTV. Have you actually ever watched?
Yeah. Wait, I've watched The Challenge. That's like the Challenge is like the modern version of The Real World, right?
They have them do like
MTV.
events and stuff?
Yeah, it's like MTV. It's reality TV. It's very similar.
I've learned that reality TV stars and TikTok influencers are more famous than actual artists, celebrities, like people from movies. Like in today's world, people care more about the Jake Pauls and the, Speed than they do about like legit actors. Why are you laughing about Speed?
Just laughing at the fact that like David only knows who Speed is because Speed is a huge Ronaldo fan. Like David, you never would have known who Speed was.
Speed is all over my algorithm because he's trying to like race people and fight people and interview people. Yeah, I did know him of his Ronaldo thing. He's on commercials now. Like, why is he famous? What does he do? He sucks.
No, hold on. That is the new wave of streamer. This is me being the old man yelling at cloud, and I think everybody watching the show will agree that like this new generation of streamers, not my generation, just sits there and reacts to other people's content and is like, who can scream the loudest, who can fall out of their chair the most, and it's like reactionary content.
Should we do that with TexAgs? Like, should we, like you and I, find stuff that other shows do and like put it behind us and just annihilate them for 6 minutes?
Yes. So Billy's always pushing us to be on the cutting edge of new content ideas, and I was actually gonna
do that
pitch
tomorrow.
This.
Find something that I can react to with you.
The best thing these days is you take a video of someone else and then put like Subway Surfers or something entertaining below it. So it's like you get 2 different things at once because people's attention spans are fried these days. You can't focus for 10 seconds. So if you put 2 or even 3 pieces of content in one video, people are hooked. It's like the new drug these days is how many videos can we fit on one screen. So I'm going to make a compilation of all of TexAgs funny moments and put it out on as our content.
Let's hit a break because I know we have Jason Glenn on, and that's actual business, like stuff that people care about. Reese, I know you had something you want to talk about. We'll get to that a little bit later. Right now, when it comes to preserving your farm and your family ranch's legacy, it's not just about capturing those pretty pictures, posting them on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, or going to Love Island. What you should do is actually reach out to the good folks at Heritage Films because they tell stories in a different kind of way. Chance McClain started this farm and ranch films part of his business because he's already doing the documentaries about families to help the future generations understand what it really matters, transferring the value that your land brings to you, that operation, to the generations that are going to inherit it. Chance McClain has interviewed thousands of people throughout America, and he's discovered that these aren't just businesses, they're blueprints for building character, and he loves telling these stories, whether it's a 100-year cycle or just about the last few years in your life. Farm and Ranch Films, it's going to capture that wisdom that your grandkids and their grandkids are going to need. Visit yourheritagefilm.com, click on Farm and Ranch, or call 713-893-8341 to preserve not just your story, but your family's foundation. It's Heritage Films.
Let's talk to an Aggie legend who can dance with it. TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, the Buppies Catering Hotline. Jason Glenn joining us, loving some Lionel Richie. What's up, Jason?
Hey, fellas, how you doing? How you doing, Dave? How you doing, brother?
I'm great, man. You're one of the nicest human beings that I know, and I appreciate you making some time for us. How long have you been in Austin now? Has it been a couple years?
No, it's been actually 10 months.
Oh, only a year.
Months.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 months.
How's the transition been?
It's a transition.
Yeah.
It's a little, it's a little different from being in Houston and, of course, College Station. But the people have been nice, very welcoming. My family's here. We live out in the hill country area. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. So, we are adjusting really well.
What part of the hill country are you living in?
Lake Travis.
Okay. You loving it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we loving it, man. Our backyard, I have a family of deer. They come in the backyard. And so they on our grocery bill now. So I tell my wife, go get 5 carrots every time she'll get the groceries. We have a stream in the back. It's very therapeutic. We just go out there and just relax and just enjoy the peace that's back there. Absolutely.
Jason, I've talked to you about this in the past, but I just kind of want to get where did this love for helping the future generation come from? When did that become your calling? Because you take, great pride in it, not only when you were coaching but just the development of young people.
My high school coach, Bernard Simon, may he rest in peace. He kind of put that notion into my future of wanting to help our next generation become, whatever they want to become and help them be great. And of course, Coach Slocum, after being around Coach Slocum, he gave you one of those speeches. It's going to be one of those speeches when he started off with, okay, guys, when you hear that, one of them is coming. So, but what he instilled in us as players and as people, that kind of inspired me to want to go in this direction.
And how quick has the transition been for you to try to impact folks in Austin?
Boy, I tell you what, man, it's been very quick. I have a great relationship with the community already. I've been in the community. It's a very, very big district, and I always wanted a big, big district to lead. And it's been very impactful. I have a lot of friends already. A lot of people that are supporting the vision that we have here in Austin for athletics. It's been amazing. It really has been amazing.
How interesting has it been to be in an area that everything is orange and white, and you die hard in Aggie, right? Like that's your, and unfortunately, you moved there as they're in the middle of a lot of success.
I'm seeing counseling for that right now. So, it's, my wife's just so funny. Yesterday, Father's Day, my family took me out to eat, and my wife just said, man, you saw these cars with these Longhorns on the back. And I'm like, yeah, but I tell you what, when you're in College Station, you'll see the exact same thing. So, they support their school. They do have a lot of success right now. But like I always say, I bleed maroon no matter where I'm at. And people don't realize a lot more Aggies here in Austin than they think. So, it's been good banner, but it's all in fun. It's all in fun. Just great people. Some UT have some great people that I met already. And of course, my Aggies are already great people. So
what does that rivalry mean to you, though? Just beating the Longhorns and, your time against them when you played and just, hopefully seeing it get done this year.
Yeah. Oh, bragging rights. It's bragging rights, man, but it's also a sense of pride that we have in Aggieland. And with me being an Aggie in Austin, man, that is something. Now, they did let me hear it this past year. A couple of them already tried to finagle the score. I'm like, no, the score wasn't what you think it was. So it was a lot closer than what they think. But again, it's a good banner. It calls for great conversations. It also calls for great conversations for the state of Texas. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, keeping our athletes in Texas. Some of the main key, components and players at A&M and Texas come from the state of Texas. So I think that's the bigger conversation that we have.
Two-part question, Jason. Are you an optimistic Aggie that you look in the offseason, you're like, I think this could be our year? And if so, or if not, what do you think about this upcoming year?
I'm an Aggie through and through. Like I said, I bleed maroon. But I'm also a realist, right? And with that being said, we have a great opportunity to do something special. I went to a couple of practices, came by and visited you guys. I just want to see Coach Elko and what his vision was. And he has an amazing vision. I believe now the accountability the hard work, the blue collar, the things that make Aggies, that separate us from a lot of different universities. He's bringing that. And I'm a defensive guy, and I love what he's bringing to that defense. Offense, I think we're getting better. I think he's gotten better. And I think right now with some settlement, we settled at quarterback. I think we'll be, I think we can make some noises. Yeah, I really do.
What do you identify? Do you identify as a linebacker, like your mindset? Do you identify as a safety? Like when you think about you and your playing days, obviously you had so much success at linebacker, but how do you look, or just as a player? You put me, I play.
I'm a hybrid. I look at that piece. I talked to my brother about it. My brother, he just played corner. But for me, I was able to play defensive end. I played linebacker and I played safety. So I've been blessed to play in different levels of football to where I have knowledge in all three levels. Again, just like we tell our kids, as coaches, wherever you want me to play, coach, wherever you want me to be, I'll be there.
And then when you look at what A&M was not able to do on defense last year, and hopefully what they can do this year, why do you think they struggled a little bit more defensively than what we expected?
Well, I think, with Coach Elko coming in, it's new. I think one thing I do believe is that he more focused on the culture of the program than winning games. In my opinion, as a coach, I think that's the most important thing. You establish a culture and the expectation of excellence in everything you do. Everything you do, whether it's on the field or off the field, right? Because I think the off the field piece is just as important as on the field, right? No distraction, being the community, good character. I think once you establish a culture of that, I know for a fact everything else will fall in line. And he's doing a great job of, instilling a culture that makes us, proud in the tradition of A&M. So I think once he has that all in place, the expectations, not just on defense, but all around, will be even higher.
Before I let you go, talk about what your brother's doing there in New York and how cool it's been to see him finally get his place, right? Like that he's deserved for a while.
That's right. Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. He deserves it. He went through the proper channels and he worked and worked and worked, and that's something that our dad instilled in us. I know yesterday was Father's Day, but whether it's Father's Day, Christmas, or just another day, our dad instilled a hard work DNA in all of us, and I'm a 10 out of 11 kids. And so he's doing a phenomenal job, man. And, and like I tell people, they say all the time, you're going with your brother. Well, that's my brother's book. I'm writing my own book. And he understands that, and I understand that. And I love the book I'm writing, and he loves the book he's writing. So we both play chapters in each other's book, but we're writing our own book in life. So
one thing I've noticed about him, and tell me if I'm right, there's a confidence when he speaks and he looks at you. But it's not a cocky one. It's just like, I'm in control of the situation.
Absolutely. It's almost like practice. It's a hidden confidence. If you believe in what you believe and you believe in what you're doing, there's no reason for him not to speak with confidence and assurance. He's a leader of men, always been that way. And you can tell right now that, again, it all starts from our parents. Our parents have helped us so much at being leaders. We're thermostat people. We're not thermometers. Wherever room we step in, from my brother to my sisters, all of it, we set the temperature in rooms, and he's doing that right now.
Well, we believe in you, Jason. Thanks for making time. I hope to see you here in studio soon.
Thank you, man. Like you've been working out too, man. I don't know if it's the shirt or what, man. Them guns, man, they looking good over there, Dave.
I'm wearing my kid's shirt. That's why. So it's just the lighting. Thank you, Jason.
Awesome, brother. Thank you, guys.
Great seeing you, brother. All right, Jason Glenn on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. We'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Around Aggieland and then Billy Liucci in the 10 o'clock hour. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. If you're looking for a selection that won't break the bank, look at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They're stocking up on new vehicles right now, and their inventory is growing daily. That's kind of what they do there. They're constantly looking for the new vehicles to make sure that the selection you get is everything. Like you have a selection to pick from, and they're south of those big city prices. No dealer add-ons when you go there. What you see is what you pay. They're locally owned. Aggie alumni team is ready to roll out the red carpet for you. So when you go, you're going to have the best customer service and best experience you can imagine. Their pre-owned inventory is moving fast as well, which means you get top dollar for your trade-in. So don't wait. Those deals will not last forever. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive. We're talking about the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and you do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet.
Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. We're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's do Around Aggieland. Kaylee Dreyer,
Good
the
morning.
star of our Texas Aggies United interviews. Hello, Kaylee.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Good. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was especially better because track won the national championship.
We love when that happens. Hopefully we get a lot more this year. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we'll start with the biggest event from this weekend. Obviously, the Texas A&M men's track and field team claimed the 2025 NCAA Outdoor Championship. This victory marked the men's 5th outdoor victory and head coach Pat Henry's 10th national title in his 20 years at A&M. The men had 2 individual national champions, Sam Whitmarsh in the 800-meter and Alexander Solovev in the pole vault, as well as 2 runner-up finishers, Jaqueline Scott in the 400-meter hurdles and the men of the 4x400-meter relay to win their championship. The Aggies sat in 4th place in the team standings going into the 4x400-meter relay, needing 8 points, and Ahmad Robinson running the last leg helped the Aggies battle to secure 2nd place with a season-best time running 3 minutes and 73 milliseconds, giving them 8 points needed to win the title. And then on the women's side, they secured a 3rd place victory. Winnie B won A&M's first NCAA title in the women's triple jump, and Jaya Covington secured runner-up in the 100-meter hurdle to assist in their third-place finish. And last thing, Texas A&M men's basketball coach Bucky McMillan announced Madeline Osborne as the Aggies administrative coordinator. She has been a part of Texas A&M athletics for 5 years, most recently as the operations assistant for the Aggie baseball team since 2024.
Good stuff, Kaylee. Appreciate you very
Thank you.
much. Thank you. All right. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is in about an hour. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We'll hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. And as a reminder, they are not open on Mondays. Billy Liucci on the other side, and around the SEC, it's TexAgs Live. And we are back. TexAgs Live. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We'll have Billy Liucci here in studio at some point over the next few minutes. I'm sure we will talk about the track and field national championship for the men's side, which, by the way, the meet, they will be getting to campus, what? Is it at noon, Luke? Am I right about that?
Yep, noon. We're sending the TexAgs crew over there in about an hour and a half.
Okay, so looking forward to that. And if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do it. You can call us up on the Buffy's Catering hotline or text us 979-693-1150. Right now, let's do Around the SEC, brought to you by the Jaxer Group. And with that, we have Luke Evangelist. How many more days of Luke as director do we have?
This is actually the last day before I get fired and Nick Savage takes over his rightful duty on the throne of directing TexAgs Live.
We missed Nick. He's fantastic. Unfortunately, I bothered Nick a little bit this weekend. And I bothered Luke a little bit this weekend as well. And I bothered Kay a little bit this weekend. I won't get into the specifics, but let's just say
there was a maroon, Acadia, I already messed up the bit, but pretend I said that car name correctly. Let's just say there was a maroon car that David needed Kay and I to handle and take care of and maybe get some revenge on.
Let's just say the truth. I was just giving a tour of the studio, and I had to call Nick because I didn't know how to turn on all the lights because, like, even though Lucas told me, I didn't know, like, we have a formula, like, to turn on lights. You have to go, like, to the breaker, and you got to put in password 771422, and then you have to touch the left wall, and things turn on. I didn't know how to do it. So I turned on all the studio, and then when I turned things off, I turned off everything. Like, I think alarms were down, like missiles were being like I did whatever I pressed. I shouldn't use that. Sorry, but you know what I mean. Like whatever I did was wrong, and I got a phone call, like, hey, Nuño, everything's off. Like, what'd you do? I was like, oh, and I wasn't in a position to fix it, so Luke had to come from home super early on Saturday morning, like noon. Kidding.
Okay, I am capable of being up on a weekend at 8:30 when you need me, David. Just know that doing Nick's job has changed my sleep schedule a bit. And if you need me here before 8 a.m., I am now proud to say I'm capable of making that happen.
It was actually, because I know where I was, it was at 10 a.m. because I was across the street. So I know exactly. It wasn't 8 a.m., my friend. But you did take the call.
Yes, of course. Anytime you need help, I can supply. And speaking of, would you like to go around the SEC?
No, not really, to be honest. No, yes.
Okay.
Let's go around the SEC.
Well, we don't have to go very far because we're really just going to talk about Alex Caruso and his performance in the NBA Finals. In Game 4, off the bench, 20 points, 5 steals, 7 of 9 from the field. He became the second player in NBA history with 20-plus points, 5-plus steals, and at least 75% from the field in an NBA Finals game. And if that sounds familiar, that's because he's been having a playoff performance of his life this season. Earlier this in the playoffs, he became the first NBA player ever to have at least 2 blocks, 5 steals, and 5 3-pointers in a playoff game. That was in Game 1 against the Denver Nuggets. And if you've been following along, he keeps having these 20-point performances in OKC's wins. That was his playoff record. He set and now tied his playoff scoring record 3 times. That was in Game 1 against the Nuggets, and then twice in the NBA Finals in Game 2 and Game 4. He's put up 20 points twice in 4 games in the NBA Finals. So an unbelievable effort.
So hold on.
From Alex Caruso.
Can I make the argument that if the Thunder win the NBA championship, I know they'll give the MVP to SGA, but that maybe Alex Caruso could garner enough votes to be your NBA Finals MVP? Because when he scores 20, they win. The games he doesn't, they don't win. He scored 8 in one and 11 in the other. They lost. They lost by 1 and 1. And how much did they lose Game 2? I guess they won. No, they lost. So, I guess what I'm saying is they can, with Alex Caruso scoring 20, they win. He might be your MVP.
And I don't think it's crazy to say that because you remember that one year where Andre Iguodala won it over like Curry and Clay, and I don't know if that was the team that Durant was on, but either way, it was a shock.
He wasn't on that team.
Okay, so it was a shock that either way he won it over Clay or Steph. So I mean, crazier things have happened if he keeps outperforming SGA. I know SGA has aura and all these intangibles that all the kids go crazy for and that they're making TikToks about, but when it really comes down to it, the biggest playoff riser playing above his not even just regular average, but even his playoff average has been Alex Caruso. So if they deem that worthy of Finals MVP, I don't think you're going to see a lot of people question it. He's definitely worthy if he's not one, he's
I'm
definitely
sorry.
number 2.
I just looked at his stats. SGA's had 35, 24, 34, and 38.
Okay, so what we really need is how many of those have been at the free throw line? Like, is it 11 free throws a game? Is it 10, 14?
He's had 10 free throws. He was a perfect 10 for 10, 5 of 6, 11 of 12, 7 of 8.
Yeah, he's a free throw merchant. My point still stands that Alex Caruso, who's just getting his buckets the gritty way, like hard hat and lunch pail kind of bucket guy. He's just a bucket getter that you wake up and he's inspiring to watch his highlights. SGA is in there driving in the lane like, oh, don't touch me, no, and he's just flopping around. Alex Caruso is I mean, he's a hard-nosed player. He does things the right way. And if I had a vote, I would vote him NBA Finals MVP, but I'm biased.
Do you remember during the offseason when he was traded to the Thunder? It was undercover, like this could be one of the biggest trades of the like. It was like one of those that like we thought of it as a big deal because it's Alex Caruso, but there were NBA insiders saying he's exactly what they need.
Yeah, I mean, for a defensive team that has that identity of what the Thunder have, as Billy gives the peace sign as he walks in, that's exactly the kind of piece they needed, a veteran. You think about how young that team is, that's exactly the kind of talent that the Thunder needed to really make this push. And if they win the NBA Finals, look at the differences between last year and this year. The main difference on that roster is Alex Caruso.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate you. Hi, Billy Liucci. I'm all right. How are you? What do you like?
I'm good. I didn't catch the beginning of the show today.
Oh, that means there's a joke coming here.
No, it's not. It's a serious matter.
Okay.
I heard about your incident. Did y'all discuss it?
We discussed it for about 4.5, 6 minutes.
Give me the 30-second version. I'll ask you the rest in a commercial break.
Yeah. Lady got up on Cruz's tail, picking up on Elise from work.
There's just the two kids.
Just the 2 kids. Flashing, honking, got next to him, pulled out a knife, rolled down the window, said, "You scared little kids? I'll get out of this car right now." The police were called.
And I got a picture of her.
They did.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I saw your. I did see.
The 2 times I posted, you've seen in the last year.
This menacing Facebook post, but I mean that's scary.
I was hoping they would find her.
If I could isolate the 2, we could have a blast with this Facebook post. But it's about something so serious. It's like, damn, you disarm the knife wielding lady and me in one post.
And remember,
but that's all. I mean,
the furniture company too in the last year. That's all happened when they were.
Oh, that's right. But that's crazy. I mean, that's actually insane. I mean, thank God they were in vehicles. Because that could have been at a store or, walking down the street with the dog.
They were scared, but not like scared like that something was going to happen, just that this was actually happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't think she was going to get out of the car and stab them.
No, you could always just drive away, right? But still.
Yeah, so
that's crazy. I mean, you don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. People are as rage-based as ever in this country.
You're right.
I mean, just across the board. That has
sports,
everything. It has, when you say that, you think immediately people's heads go to like politics, not politics, sports, walking down the street. It's everything. It's crazy, man. It's crazy, but.
Hey, well, I thought, and I think you'll agree with me here, that the show today, not only did we lead with track and field, but I want to lead with you with track and field.
Yeah.
My good friend Pat Henry, we hope to get him in the studio this week. The legend that he is has done it again. Men win the national championship. Women finish third. Men tie with USC for the national championship. But, like in a year where we've kind of been disappointed with finishes, we got a great finish from track and field.
Yep. And right there, literally in true track and field fashion, right there at the finish line, photo finish. Well, in fact, they tied, and it was, video reviewed where they almost won it outright. But that's a national title, and you have those, I think, I wouldn't say frequently, but I don't think they're that uncommon in track and field. But Pat Henry, here's what, this is almost like, for him to win one, when was the last one he had won? Was it
2013 with the men?
Okay, and then with the women was when? About 5?
You have the exact year on?
Anyway.
We had it.
for him to get one with that big of a gap in between and have so many in his career, not to mention the individual national champions he's coached and the Olympians he's produced.
2014.
14, so 13 and 14. To go and get one a decade later is pretty remarkable. And, I mean, he's come close times in between there. There's been times where they went in there thinking they had a chance and they couldn't get it done. There's been times where they probably should have, and you got, I think places like Arkansas that kind of can really manipulate, but stack the deck in scoring through the cross country, what I consider like a cross country loophole. So it's not easy to do at all, and he makes it look easy at times. But if you followed his career here, he starts winning them very early. The double they've gone double before, men, women. Just some remarkable things he's done, but also some truly incredible finishes to some of these track meets where A&M's won national championships.
Yeah,
it's an exciting sport to follow here, and I know a lot of people probably not enough for Coach Henry. And I understand it, I get it in terms of going to the meets here and going to the indoor, going to the outdoor, but man, everybody seems to get really dialed in at the national championships every year with his programs. He keeps the interest really high in a sport that I don't know how high it is at some of these other places. I think it's what he's done here is there should be a statue of him outside that facility. I would do it. And I'm not pushing him to retire. He won a national title this weekend.
He can do it again.
But when he does, when he just says, you know what, I've done enough. I'm tired. I'm gonna, just coast here and be a fan. There should be a statue plans drawn up the next day. I mean, that's his building. This is his program. It always will be. That legacy is. It's the best hire for results in A&M history. He's the most successful coach to ever step foot on this campus.
You know what I marvel at, Billy, is that he's done it when in an era where older coaches are being phased out.
Everything's changed.
And everything has changed. And he just keeps doing what he does, and he is the best, right? It hasn't changed. I'm sure he's changed some things, but he's got a formula that works. And while you have this transfer portal and kids leaving left and right, he is consistently a top 3, top 4 team. And, oh, by the way, just won another national championship.
Yeah, and if you stack up the SEC and national titles and you span – and don't forget now, he had a Hall of Fame career before he got to
Before he got here.
Blinn, LSU. He's a track and field icon, Hall of Famer before he got here. And Bill Byrne made that hire, and it was all but not to act like it was easy, but it guaranteed you national championships in that sport the moment he was hired, and he lived up to that billing and has exceeded it and continues to exceed it. So, again, I think he's the most successful and best coach that's ever coached here in any sport. I don't really think you can debate that. Yeah. I don't think there's not a debate to be had. There's just not. I mean, he's still at the top of his game, like you said, all these years later. And I'm just talking about A&M for 20 plus years, well over 20 years now, quarter century basically, right? When did he get here?
In the mid-2000s.
How do you not know? That's your guy. You
Mid-2000s.
interview him every week. I think it was even before that. Potentially.
I thought it was mid-2000s.
Okay, you might be right. I'm just saying it's been at least 20 years.
Yeah.
And probably more.
2004.
Yeah, okay.
So 21
years, yeah.
He has, like I said, exceeded even he came in with the highest of expectations. He exceeded that. And to do it almost 20 years apart, national titles, with how much, like you said, college athletics has changed, remarkable. He's one of the only people I would say this about. They ought to start plans for the statue now. Hell, Coach Henry would be a hell of a recruiting tool. You bring the men and women in on their visits. But don't mind me. Don't mind my statue either. That's also me.
Yeah.
You know, like, could you imagine?
And I just did it.
Yeah, and they built that after I won the national championship
national
this last year. That would have been my 10th at A&M. Yeah. So congratulations, not just to him, but all the guys on that team. You know, just that was a hard-earned one right there.
Mm-hmm.
That was far from a guarantee, and they fought, you know, till the bitter end to get that one. So and a lot of familiar faces too, that have come close and got over the hump. So
Well, we plan on having some of the guys in studio this week. We'll have Coach Henry as well. We'll celebrate it. Let's hit a break here, Billy. Got a football topic for you on the other side.
Okay.
Right now, if your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, check out the Association of Former Students. They bring Aggies of all ages together during marquee events that they hold throughout the year. We're talking about Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo, and The Gathering. They welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities to get your brand in front of those attendees. These options include title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner that's been with the organization supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students.
All right, guys, let's talk about some new partners, Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. They're Aggie owned and operated. They are an mobile IV hydration company that was founded back in 2024. I met with Sheldon and Danny over the last week, and they're awesome people. They really know what they're doing. They're proud to serve Bryan College Station with awesome services like IV hydration, Botox, and even some weight loss options. Whether you're looking for a quick boost of hydration or dehydration preventative, they can tailor an IV cocktail specific to your needs. And on a busy weekend, I know some of you guys might be partying a little bit too much. If that's the case, an IV can be one of the easiest ways to ensure you're receiving all those necessary vitamins and minerals to make you feel better. Their overall mission is to bring a more personalized and accessible wellness option to the broader range of clientele here in the Bryan College Station and Brazos Valley area. To book an appointment or inquire about it, just call them up or text them, 979-217-1561. Again, it's Aggieland Hydration and Injectables. Check them out. It's our friends at Aggieland Hydration and Injectables.
TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, so everybody gets an opinion on this topic, Billy.
Okay.
Everyone. Even Luke had an opinion. Maddox Govea had an opinion. Reese Nygren had an opinion. And I'm going to ask you, but I ask you why, Billy. Who is your Texas A&M X Factor for 2025? Could be an X Factor for 2025.
Well, he went with, we got Terry Bussey and we got Ruben Owens as the 2 picks during the commercial break. I liked both of those. Ruben, from the standpoint of, I know Le'Veon's ahead of schedule, way ahead of schedule actually. But you know, if there's more of a share of the load there early in the season, and Ruben proves he's that guy that he really looked like before that injury in camp last year, you could have quite the 1-2, like one of the best, really, tailback stables in the country, if SEC, if not the country. As far as Bussey, he's one that I might be inclined to go with from the standpoint of we don't really know. I wouldn't even put Bussey yet as an X factor. I would call him a wild card.
Okay.
Because we saw him last year when they flipped him in the middle of camp from defense to offense. He was making the jump from 1A football to Texas A&M, flipping from defense to offense midway through camp, a new system, coaches that were trying to figure out how to use him on the fly. And you can imagine how much his head was spinning in trying to learn the system, with Klein and those guys not wanting to put too much on him. Now you're past all that. Now you're going into year 2 where the talent takes over, right? Where the playmaking ability that he flashed several times last season kicks in. Problem is, he was hurt for much of spring. Nothing that is longer lasting, but just that kept him from practicing very much. So he's a wild card.
Yep.
X factor, I mean, I've said it a million times, and it's just, I don't know what I would call Marcel. Marcel is like an X factor in the whole conference. There's a few quarterbacks you can say that about, and whoever makes that jump is going to be that guy. I also think Marcel's going to be one of the better players on your team. I do. For me, an X factor on offense, I'll go with Amari Niblack. Transfer in from Texas, didn't do much there. Gunnar Helm was a tight end, but prior to that at Alabama, really looked good as a young tight end in that offense. Was very promising. It's exactly why Sark and company, Banks, and them brought him from Bama to Austin. It's exactly why Holman Wiggins is now bringing him from Austin to Texas A&M, College Station. You think about it, coaches that have been around this guy believe in him and they know what he can do. That's why Texas took him. That's why A&M's taking him now. All these guys were literally on staff at Alabama when he was doing what he was doing. I guess technically Banks and Sark weren't. They may have been involved in recruiting him out of high school, but there's a great deal of knowledge there, right? I think his ability to be a big receiver, I don't consider him like a true, like when I think of the tight end room, he's going to be in there. But I think in the truest sense of the word, he is going to be an X factor. You'll be able to move him around the formation, and he's going to make plays in the passing game.
Kind of like a Noah. Noah, I know, was when your number
not
one.
out, probably not out wide like that.
Right, but what I'm saying is, when you need a big target, it was Noah.
Yeah,
when you need a big target, it'll be Amari.
I think he's going to be he has a potential to be a matchup problem. He was in the spring. That's the guy that was out there in the spring. You watched him, and he's a real problem for linebackers and safeties to cover. If you're going to put if you can get a matchup on a small little nickel, that's just like an extra corner. If it's the wrong guy, he's going to be way too physical and take up too much space, and he's going to be able to get himself open that way. So offensively, it's him. For me, defensively, I'm going to say that's a tough one for me. I'm going to go with I want to go with one of these pass rushers. I really do. I think I'd go with Cassius Howell. I mean, it's kind of different than what I did on offense, where I went with on defense. I think Cassius Howell might be one of the best players on the whole defense.
Yeah.
I was thinking of a true X factor, like someone that you just don't know the impact yet because it just could be anywhere and all over the map. I think I know the impact of Cassius Howell, but I think he could be like a game changer for that defense, where X factor is in that pass rush is going to go as he goes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he has to carry it, but I'm saying he can be the tone setter for a surprisingly good pass rush and a group that lost first and a second on the defensive line and still come back and in some crazy world have a chance to potentially be even better than they were last year. Which for a defense that had its rough spots last season, the D-line was generally good. It wasn't elite. It wasn't great. They had too many moments where they weren't that way. South Carolina, Auburn in particular, those stand out. I don't really count USC because that wasn't that group. And one of the guys that was out there was Cassius Howell. And had A&M won that game, he would have probably had a case for MVP. So I think Cassius Howell's my guy on defense. I think he can – look, tell me there weren't not just times, oftentimes last season did this guy who transferred from Bowling Green and was in his first year from Bowling Green, there were times, oftentimes, that he looked like the team's best pass rusher. And that's a group with a first round and a second round defensive end. So that's my X factor on defense.
So I used this, and you probably heard it and maybe rolled your eyes when I was talking about Jaden Daniels' years at Arizona State and just saying, like, you don't know what a player is going to be from year 1 to year 2 or year 2 to year 3, especially depending on the kind of talent you play against. Nobody would have predicted, I don't think, Jaden Daniels being the Heisman Trophy winner that he became in 23.
No, nobody in Baton Rouge would have predicted
right? That. And I'm not putting that on Marcel. What I'm saying is, if you look at what year 1 to year 2 can look like for quarterbacks, in fact, Reese found another comparison that we can just look at. Who was yours?
I said that Dak Prescott was my comparison because if you look at his first year starting, I mean, he was a sophomore. I mean, he switched between him and Tyler Russell, but he had 1,900 passing yards and over 800 rushing yards. And then obviously in 2014, he had finished 8th in Heisman voting. So I feel like that's a comparable quarterback. I would like to know, Billy, what your thoughts are on that comparison.
I think that's a really good comparison, actually. And and that's somebody I watched live. I watched him that year you're talking about, and you kind of go, "Oh man, that guy
is really good.
He's tough to tackle." He had a couple good games. Every time I watch him, he looks pretty good. Mississippi State disappointed that week, or he came to Kyle Field. I think he came in off the bench in that game as a sophomore. You're like, all right. But the next season, he was remarkable.
He was.
And I remember seeing that team live, and they beat the brakes off of that was Kenny Hill and an undefeated Kevin Sumlin, an undefeated A&M team that went in there into Starkville and got the brakes beat off of them, and with Prescott in that defense being the two main reasons why. So that's a really good one. I'm looking at like Heisman winners recently, and some of them, and I'm not saying, again, this is not Marcel to Heisman, but this is just saying players that kind of, I don't think before the season anyone was expecting them to be a Heisman winner. So the list of finalists that would fit that mold is probably even longer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what Colin Klein did the year before he was a finalist, but if you can check that, he was probably made a nice jump too. But Cam Newton obviously had not played college football prior, he was from Florida to Belinda to Auburn. Quentin Griffin, great running back, by the way. Robert Griffin, same thing. Johnny Manziel, we know that story. Jameis Winston was a freshman, red shirt. I think Marcus Mariota came in with some real buzz. Lamar Jackson, sophomore. We saw him the year before in that bowl game. I would say you were thinking of a very exciting young quarterback that was, I think, much more raw than Marcel Reed was. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson's in the top 0.5% of athletes that have ever played that position at the NFL level. So he's an outlier. But my point is, he was really talented, raw, unpolished. You walked away going, that guy's going to be really good down the road when you watch him play in that bowl game. I don't know if you just said that's your Heisman Trophy winner for next season. Kyler Murray coming in for that 1 year right after Baker Mayfield won it. Obviously, we're familiar with him. Joe Burrow, you talk about making that massive jump like Jaden Daniels did. That's what LSU keeps talking about. They think they're going to get the same thing from Nussmeier this year, and they could. So, I mean, man, you go down that list of quarterbacks, and that's not a – I just was following your cue there. That is not to say, hey, Marcel's going to win a Heisman. No. But if you go off that list and then you go off the guys that were, for all the last 15 years, that were Heisman contenders or Heisman finalists, at that position in today's day and age of college football, guys have every year it's proven that they can make these massive jumps into being among the 4 or 5 very best at the position in the country. And Reed does have the skill set to do that. And I agree with Olin when he talked about, like, hey, when people talk about his passing, I feel like there's a little bit of a narrative being formed, and I'm always careful to kind of say, like, it's not like he can make all the throws. And you watch him in that bowl game, and I saw a guy that was very much on time with the ball. The one interception deep down the field, he wasn't. The other interception was perfectly timed. End zone, inside breaking, slant route for a touchdown. Marcel can make all those throws. He's you sit here and watch him with me whenever he comes in here. He's a really smart. He's a really smart kid. He's a great communicator, so that translates into the huddle, with your teammates and stuff. But when people talk about him as a passer, it's just like steadily up in those numbers. He did have a lot of drops last year too, by the way. But it's just, I think it's as simple as being in year 2 in the system. He is going to be better, David, at when this safety crashes down, this route's going to come open against this coverage. So when you watch that safety and he's your key and he does that, you get rid of the football to that guy, that's going to be a big play. Or when he doesn't, you take the 8-10 yards that are given to you there. So see that, which he does, understand that, which he does, but then let it rip. Don't hesitate. Trust what you're seeing, trust in your experience, trust in what you know in the system. He is going to make that jump, and that's what I mean by passer. Just an evolved quarterback, like mastering the position. He's going to be much better in that regard this year than he was last year. What we don't know is how much better. Right. And if he can make a significant jump to go with that talent, and the fact I've talked it into the ground, but the dude has a winning feel for playing football, and you can tell just sports in general. But he showed it time and time and time again last year that he's got the intangibles that you're looking for. The mental, the competitive makeup, he's got all that. He's got the athleticism. He's going to improve as a QB in executing this offense. The question is that we won't know till the season starts is how much. So that's what makes him the ultimate overriding X factor, and I think in the whole conference. But you could say the same thing about at least half the quarterbacks in this league this year. At least. I mean, what bucket do you want to put him in? Brand new starter? Transfer? Your boy Pribula? You got him. You got first-year starters, guys like that were 5 stars like Ty Simpson and Arch Manning. You got the returning starters that are going into really year 2 as starters, which is Nussmeier, even though he feels like a veteran, Sellers, Reed. You've got the guy that was dead and buried, and they brought him, trying to bring him back at Auburn, and Jackson Arnold. I mean, there's a new starter at Ole Miss in that Lane Kiffin offense. You got Lagway, again, another one of those year 1 to year 2 jump guys. Mateer, transfer, a new guy at Tennessee. Go down the list and go, who's the most conventional? There's about 5 of them, it feels like, that are conventional starters. Even at Mississippi State, where you've got a guy who was pretty good at Baylor and Chapin, but he missed basically all of last season. So just conventional by the book, returning starter. It's like that the guys that jump out are Lagway, Reed, who both took over, Sellers, Nussmeier, probably 1 or 2 others we're forgetting, but there's not many.
Yeah.
And you know, Marcel's one of those. There's got to be some advantage in that.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, the most overvalued team in college football, at least according to one expert. We'll talk to Billy about that. Right now, Milliken Reserve, a farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces. They have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They're dedicated to the conservation of a healthy community with their 2,600 acres of open space, the 30 miles of trails. They've got farms, they got homes, and they want to connect families to nature and to each other. When you go to Milliken Reserve, you'll be in the outdoors, you'll be able to connect, and you'll have a great old time, from climbing trees to hiking to biking to canoeing to kayaking. The equestrian trails, the evening yoga, the summer camps, the music festivals, the farmer markets, and the farm tours. They are a fantastic place to just go and enjoy being outdoors, but also amazing neighborhoods. They got the creek, they got the hollow, they got the meadows. You can learn more at millikenreserve.com. That website, again, millikenreserve.com.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. So, Joe Fortenbaugh, you know who he is from ESPN? He's one of their experts, like breaks down gambling and whatnot.
Okay.
He says...
I can't keep up anymore.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
He says that a particular team is the most overvalued team in college football this year with their 10.5 win total. Who do you think that team could be?
I would do a hand signal, but then I would be on camera doing
don't do
it,
that.
and people would clip it, and they would use it, you know. So I'm not going to do the hand signal. I'm not even going to do it down because we're not playing them like right now, and I don't even, you know. So we know who it is.
It's Texas. This is what he says. The win total's 10.
And I agree.
The win total's 10.5. You're only playing 12 games. Conference championships and playoffs, stuff does not count towards this.
Yeah.
I'd bet the under. All we need are 2 losses, and I see them losing to Ohio State to open the season. And then as you work your way down there, they've got plenty of problems. Road game at Florida, road game at Georgia, 4th toughest schedule in the nation. I didn't know that. 4th toughest. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, look, we spent the whole last year right up until they played A&M, because what they did after that was a real schedule, a schedule in and of itself. But talking about the hand they were dealt by the SEC versus, say, like an Oklahoma. But this year it gets noticeably tougher. Ohio State, just like Michigan, defending national champ, different kind of defending champ, one that returns their actual head coach and a ton of talent. They've got to go to Athens. Okay, they've got to go to what should be a significantly improved Florida team. And then, you know, I don't know how much else they've got there in terms of meat on that bone. They still don't have. They get A&M at DKR. That home schedule is pretty easy, which makes for a tougher road schedule by definition. But they're at Kentucky, right? I guess the home games are.
Luke, put up their schedule.
Their home games are A&M, Arkansas. It's A&M, Arkansas. They're at Mississippi State, which isn't difficult. So there you have it right there. Yeah, it's pretty much cake.
Even the road games. I mean, at Kentucky, I'm not.
Vandy's the other home game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think they've got. I agree with what he's saying, and here's why. I don't know that they go lose to Ohio State.
I think they win that game,
It's the first game, and it's Julian saying, I know nothing about him other than how he was recruited and what you read from practices.
Right.
They lost both coordinators, and we were doing a little video recording yesterday that will come out later this week. Atwell and I were discussing that particular game in A&M Notre Dame, and Ohio State loses 8 starters on defense, and most of their, or at least a good chunk of their offensive line, and both those running backs. But they've got great receivers and a great back 7, right? So, which quarterback are you casting your lot with going in that game? Sayin or Manning?
Manning's got a little body
Manning
for it.
showed more, and I do think he's more talented. Sayin's playing at home and has elite targets to throw the ball to all the way across, receiver, tight end. So that's a tough game to handicap. But if you're going to go that one, Georgia, Florida, A&M, maybe there's one other in there that you go, okay, that could be a little. You can get up to 4 or 5 maybes. At 10.5, I would go with the under to lose 2. If it was 9.5, I would go under. I think they're on that schedule. I think what he's not talking about is the question marks on their own team.
Yeah,
4 starters on the offensive line. I know they got some experience coming back, but 4 starters on the O-line. All those draft picks, receiver. You know, Golden and Helm did so much last year.
Yeah.
A 3-year starter at quarterback. I know Manning is the future and the golden child, but
there is a transition.
What if it takes him a few games? You know, so there's a lot of reasons there. Secondary, Makuba and Jahdae Barron. I saw someone rank them the number 1 secondary in the country. I wouldn't argue with that, but I would say sometimes you don't just snap your finger and replace the Thorpe Award winner, and then another guy that I think was as impactful as any DB in the portal last year outside of like Caleb Downs. So I see it. I would do that. I think they are overvalued at that number, but I think they're also going to be really good. I think A&M is undervalued
at 7.5.
At 7.5, I would go over, and I would say it's not guaranteed, but I would feel pretty good about that.
All right, we'll finish that thought on the other side. Daily Company, family-owned licensed insurance business that helps you out with HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and generators. Right when it comes to HVAC, they have thermostat repairs, they have refrigerant leak repairs, furnace failure, seasonal tune-ups. Plumbing-wise, they'll take care of your leaks, your clogged drains, your water heater installation, also electrical wiring, outlet repairs and upgrades, generators. They can repair it, they can maintenance them, they can install them. They serve College Station, they serve Houston, they serve Austin, and of course, Bryan. Upfront pricing with no surprises. Contact the Daily Company at 979-2060-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Or visit them at godaily.com to experience the daily difference. It is the Daily Company. By the way. 2 minutes left, as I just said to Billy, on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. That 7.5 number, I agree with you, by the way, but I wanted to kind of go back to the other topic, because when we were talking about Le'Veon, and we don't have a full time to finish this out, but Baby Billy asked on YouTube, Could A&M's backfield, specifically Owens and Moss, have a Felix Jones, Darren McFadden type season?
Wow. Sure. I mean, you got a guy that was essentially, he was like right there leading the SEC in rushing when he got hurt last year. It's the Southeastern Conference, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a 5-star recruit that everyone in the country wanted that while he was practicing here showed it. You know, the like excitement level about Reuben Owens going into last year was very high.
Yep.
Spring ball to fall camp, and then boom, he gets hurt in fall camp. You saw him against USC. There's a picture there. I said it the other day. That's not Reuben Owens. That was a guy just, you know, trying to play. He had a chance to. He'd missed all year. He wanted to go out there and ball with his teammates.
Yep.
Kind of whet his appetite heading into the offseason. But he looked every bit like that 5-star running back, future pro, when he was before that injury in camp, the broken foot or whatever, Liz Frank, whatever the injury was to his foot, but that required essentially season-ending surgery. He looked a lot better in spring ball. He looked like a different guy. He's actually added some good weight. Yeah, I mean, McFadden and Jones is – problem is you're talking about one of the most iconic backfield duos, but could it be as good as any duo in the SEC this year? Yes.
I've got the duo for you, and it may be even better than this. What Spiller and A-Chain did in 21. A-Chain rushed for a 910. Could have been more, by the way. And Isaiah Spiller had 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah.
That would take that greatly with this passing game.
You would take that greatly.
Greatly. That's not the way I wanted to phrase it.
We will greatly go to a break and come back with a little more because you wanted to talk about that 7-5. Or that
do you want to do that? We're going to go more? We're doing more?
5 wins. Sure, we'll do a short little segment. Short little overtime, as you call it.
All right. We've got the Rogue Shop overtime next. TexAgs Live.